Shalom, giving all praises to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachahakwarash. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops, the elders at Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations as always to the elect. We're going to go in the news. As you can see, I have here, a video, going into prophecy, of what the scriptures call Gog and Magog. And really, it's Magog, which, as we're going to show you when you look up an ancient map, points to Russia, which we know, pursuant to biblical prophecy, that Russia will be used as a tool by the Most High God, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, to be at the forefront of a great rebellion against Babylon the Great, and against Israel, which, if you look at what's happening, worldwide, those two entities, Babylon the Great, and Israel, are being ultimately forsaken. Everybody is looking at them some kind of way. We're seeing all kind of uproars and rebellions against them. And when it's all said and done, they're going to be left to dry and totally decimated, in war. And it's going to be headed by Gog and Magog, okay? As a matter of fact, let's get Revelation, the 20th chapter. And we bring this up, because ultimately it's a big part of how we get freed, and ultimately get to those chariots where we will be entered into the new covenant. Revelation 20:7, and when 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison. Okay, this goes into history, the dark ages, the 1,000-year period where Esau, Edom was shut up. But after that, ultimately, for prophecy's sake, he was loosed out of his prison to fulfill his blessing, that was given unto him by Isaac, that he would have the fatness of the earth, the dew of heaven from above, and he would conquer by the sword. And when Esau, Edom, the children of Satan, which we know pursuing the 2 Thessalonians, the 2nd chapter, that there would come a wicked one to do the works and bidding of Satan. Okay, when they got out of that prison of the Byzantine Empire, which from the fall of the Western Roman Empire came the Byzantine Empire, and for 1,000 years Esau, Edom, was downtrodden. He was a caveman. He was looked down upon. But when he was loosed out of that prison, it says here that he would go throughout. In verse 8, it says, and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth. We know that pursuant to the Bible, pursuant to prophecy, he wouldn't keep at home. One of the ways we can track this devil is his inability to sit down. He's all over the earth, as the scriptures say, neither keepeth at home. And when you look at Cain, which Esau, Edom, and Cain are linked in the spirit. Okay, Cain was a wanderer. Okay, and when you look at the blessing that Esau, Edom was given in Genesis, the 27th chapter. Let's get this real quick. Genesis, the 27th chapter. Genesis 27 and around. And this is the blessing that was given unto Esau. Genesis 27:39. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, meaning you will rule the earth. You would have the choicest, parts in the dew of heaven from above. You will control the resources. And by thy sword shalt thou live, and thou shalt serve thy brother. And he did serve the Israelites when King David took the Edomites, the Philistines, the Ammonites, the Amalekites, and the various different, nations, down, Esau did serve Jacob. All right. However, that was temporal, and it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. And that happened at the time of King Solomon. All right, where the Edomites, rebelled, and they were the first nation, after Solomon's, sin to cause us hell. Okay. And this also goes into what happened in the Byzantine Empire as Jake was ruling, and then Esau eventually rose up from that, decrepit caveman state that he was in, and the Lord, all right, put the spirit on him to fulfill this blessing that he will rule with the fatness of the earth. But when you look up this word dominion, all right, you shall have the dominion. It's rawad. It says to wander restlessly, to roam, to show restlessness. All right. And that's how the biblical Edomites rule. They're all over the planet Earth. Okay. Setting up embassies and, pretty much having their nose in business that they don't belong in. But ultimately, this is what the Edomite would do. Okay. And the curse that was put on Cain is that he would be a wanderer. Okay. And Esau, Edom, and Cain are linked. And I have a lesson on that if you want more understanding on that. But right here, all right, going back to biblical prophecy where we are now, after that 1,000-year period, the Byzantine Empire, the children of Satan were loosed out of prison and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the earth. All right. Because again, real quick, because let's bring this all into perspective. 2 Thessalonians, the 2nd chapter, which we always bring these points out. All right. But as we always tell you, the prophets are going to be like a broken record until it all is fulfilled. 2 Thessalonians 2:8, and then shall that wicked, the Edomites, or the wicked, be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan. So this is speaking of a particular man, a nation of people. All right. He will come to do the work of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders. And this would happen on earth. Okay. And as we're reading here, this is what he's done. He's went out to deceive the nations. All right. From Italy all the way up, to the Spanish, the French, the British, to America. The Renaissance has led, all right, to this great beast system that has a grip on the planet Earth. All right. But that's going to lead to what? All right. He was going to go out and deceive the nations which are in the four corners of the earth, ill dealings, unrighteousness, riches got by deceit, conquering, all right, colonizing, the colonial periods, all right, and Gog and Magog to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. So their ill dealings would lead to a point where Gog and Magog, all right, would lead a great war, all right, which ultimately is going to start what is known as Armageddon, World War III, all right. Now, it's going to be that war because as we read in Ezekiel 38th chapter, Israel's going to be attacked, and we know Babylon's going to get involved, and then that's going to eventually lead to what is known as Armageddon. Now, when you look at an ancient map, okay, as you can see here, Magog, all right, because we say Gog and Magog, but really it's Magog. Gog just means leader or ruler. Let me look it up. I believe that's what it means. One second here. Computer been acting crazy. The word Gog is speaking to just a ruler, I believe, because as we can see, Russia is at the forefront. The Greek word is gouge. It says mountain, the king of the land of Magog. See? And that's ultimately all right, a group of Edomites who took that land from Japhet, all right, the king of the land of Magog, who will come from the north and attack the land of Israel, which Babylon the Great is going to be involved in that as well. And the Hebrew word, all right, Gawag, it just means mountain. So these are the leaders, all right, of this particular region, all right, which is a ancient map. You can just look it up. All right, Russia is in that, land of Magog. All right, Rosh, which means ultimately Russia means to rouse. All right, and in biblical prophecy, this will be the nation, all right, who in the latter days, all right, would gather all of these, because the beast system led by Babylon the Great, it's a dominant power. All right, the West, along with NATO, the EU, have been dominant, since forever. All right, but you remember the USSR, all right, the Soviet Union was the reason that NATO was created. And since then, the Soviet Union was disbanded, all right, only to in the latter days, all right, Russia would get back in that Soviet spirit, all right, which is where we are now. And looking at this video, and we'll go back to the scripture after this, the title of this video is Putin offers virtually all types of weapons to all its African partners, all right, which this speaks to biblical prophecy, all right, 100%, all right.
We offer our partners a wide range of modern weapons of virtually all types and kinds. These include the latest control, intelligence systems, precision weapons, and robotics.
Welcome to Candid Africa.
This time, too, an interesting and rich program awaits participants and guests of the forum, representatives of delegations from many countries. At the stands, exhibitions, and firing ranges of the Patriot Park, 1,500 Russian enterprises presented over 28,500 modern samples of military and dual-purpose products. Russia is open to deepening equal technological partnership and military technical cooperation with other countries, with all to defend their
1 second here.
national interests and their independent path of development, and considers it essential to build together an equal, indivisible security system that would reliably protect each state. We offer our partners a wide range of modern weapons of virtually all types and kinds. These include the latest control, intelligence systems, precision weapons, and robotics. Special attention was paid to the topic of unmanned aerial vehicles. This area is being actively developed both in the military and civilian sectors. In fact, we are talking about the creation of a new independent science-based and high-tech industry. And of course, we suggest paying attention to the innovative and civilian products of our defense industry enterprises. These are boats and helicopters, amphibious vehicles and drones for the widest range of purposes. I would also like to point out that this year's business program, which consists of 250 events, is dedicated to the diversification of the defense industry and the development of artificial intelligence technologies. Russia has a lot to offer in these breakthrough and promising areas. Year by year, we have a growing market for products that use artificial intelligence technologies. We are also pleased that more and more foreign military industrial companies are becoming participants in the forum.
And see, all of these leaders are moving towards the New World Order, okay? See, what's happening is, all right, they're just fighting for positions, and the Lord is putting it in their minds. Remember, the scriptures say the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord, okay? And the angels are working on this. As a matter of fact, when we get the book of, real quick, Kings of the East, I believe it's in the book of Revelation, the either 9th or 16th chapter. 1 second here. Revelation 16 and 12, and the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up. And I mean, we've done various videos on that showing that the Euphrates River is being dried up, okay? That the way of the kings of the east might be prepared, okay? So the angels are working on the minds of the kings of the earth, all right? And the kings of the east, all right, is speaking to Russia as well, because ultimately they're going to lead this rebellion, all right? And there's videos, all you have to do is look it up, of the Russian military, all right, actually crossing the river Euphrates, okay? Let's see if we can find it here. See if we can find something. There you go. Russian military builds bridge to move troops across the Euphrates River. All right, because the river is drying up for the purpose of strategic positioning in the Middle East. All right, for World War III. Okay, so and you can look up more on that. Euphrates River is closed off. All right, the Euphrates River. He talking about fallen angels, but the Euphrates River is drying up. All right, in our time. All right, like never before, for prophecy's sake. You see? So, like I was saying, Russia is pretty much gathering these African countries, and what they're going to do is pretty much aid them, all right, and set up more digital artificial intelligence cities, because you got to understand, these people are the devil as well. These people are Edomites. It's just that the Lord is using them for a very, very specific purpose. Remember, the Lord said here, all right, Ezekiel 38 and 2, Son of man, set thy face against the land, against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him. All right, the area of Georgia, Russia, Armenia. Okay. And thus say the Lord God, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. So the Lord is against you. All right. And when you look at what's going on in Russia, all right, Russia tests digital ruble in bid to bypass sanctions. So they are going digital as well. Just as we talk about the central bank digital currencies that's coming over here to the West and that's being set up all throughout the world, Russia is on the same path. Russia is into artificial intelligence. Russia, all right, is going to aid and set up, shop in these African countries who are fed up with the West. All right. But they're going to have to get with a program to move towards what they're talking about here, artificial intelligence. All right. But what they're going to get in return, all right, is, just like a good example is what happened in what's this called? The land of Cush, Ethiopia. Okay, where Russia promised that they would train up Ethiopia and arm them with all kinds of defense, all right, and offensive weapons, all right, for war's sake, all right, if they would allow them to set up an embassy, all right, so that they can have relations. And there's an embassy in Russia, all right, for Ethiopia, and there's an embassy in Ethiopia for Russia, as well as military bases, all right, and this is getting ready to happen in many African countries, all right, and what they're doing is positioning themselves to be at the forefront of this new world order, all right. Again, Russia is not against, all right, the charagma, they're all for it. It's just that the Lord has these devils split, okay, and Russia in the latter days will be at the forefront of leading a big time rebellion against the West, against Israel. All right. And we see that. All right. And arming up these poor countries who are tired of, all right, the being stepped on, basically being used and abused by the beast system headed by America. And it says here Ezekiel 38:4, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, symbolizing a wild, animal, which Russia is likened unto a bear in prophecy. And ironically, that's their symbol. Okay. In a bear, all right, in Revelation, the 13th chapter, is tied to one who defends. All right, because when you get it here, Revelation, the 13th chapter, okay, how this beast system ends is through Russia. Revelation 13:2, and the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and the feet, all right, which goes into the 10 toes, are going to be decimated, starting with the bear, the feet of a bear. That bear represents Russia. And when you look up this word bear, arctos, all right, we're going to go into the root word. The root word, archeo, all right, means to be possessed with unfailing strength, to be strong, to defend, to ward off. Okay? And as we go into what Ezekiel, the 38th chapter, is talking about, okay, Ezekiel 38:4, and I will turn thee back, all right, meaning Russia would get back into that Soviet spirit and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor. And we're listening to Putin talk about what they have and what they're offering to these African countries who are going to join unto them. Even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. All right. And that goes into the technology, that goes into the missiles, that goes into the defense, the artificial intelligence. All of this is fulfilled. All right. And what they have. Persia, Ethiopia. Persia is Iran, and we know Persia and Iran and Russia are linked. Ethiopia and Libya with them. And Libya is pissed off. Look at how decimated that country is since the West interfered and used propaganda to destroy, all right, Gaddafi. See, Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them. Okay, and Libya and Ethiopia are African countries. All right, and when you look at this map, all right, Libya, all right, Egypt, Ethiopia, all right, some Ishmaelite countries. You have Iran, Persia, all right, Turkey, okay, Togarmah, okay, this all, Meshech, Tubal, it all represents these different areas, all right, who are going to align themselves with Magog, okay, to come against the land of Israel and decimate that place. You see? And synonymously, we know America's going to get involved, and that's going to lead to a war being waged on the West. And it's not too far down the road. Okay? All of them with shield and helmet, all right, because they're going to have Russia to provide them, all right, with many of these technologies. As we're watching the video, it says Gomer and all his bands, the House of Togarmah, all right, Turkey, all right, Germany is going to get involved, okay, and all the North Quarters and all his bands, and many people with thee. Many people, many countries are going to join. Many of those African countries are already joining with Russia. They're joining the BRICS. Okay, the ruble is being devalued. Okay, because, Russia, which used to be more of an import, has become like an export. Okay, so they're having to lower the prices of their goods, different grains, the gas. All right, but ultimately, all of these different nations are crashing their currencies because they're getting ready to move into a new system. Okay, but here it says, be thou prepared and prepare thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. Okay, a protector, that bear to ward off. And this is what's being talked about here. Let's go back here.
Development of artificial intelligence technologies. Russia has a lot to offer in these breakthrough and promising areas. Year by year, we have a growing market for products that use artificial intelligence technologies. We are also pleased that more and more foreign military industrial companies are becoming participants in the forum. If last year 32 organizations exhibited their products here,
basically he's basically in that join death row spirit. If you tired of the West and you got all the Biden all in the videos, you tired of all that bullshit, come over here and join death row. We got it going on. And we're family oriented. We ain't with the alphabet agenda. We're not going to force all of this poison down your people's throat. All you have to do is align yourself with us, allow us to set up these artificial intelligence and get aligned with us. That's basically what he's saying. Okay? And you have the people in the comments, they're celebrating. All right, but they don't understand what's coming down the pipe. Welcoming Africa to the international community.
this year there are 82. We intend to work actively both in the format of already established cooperative ties and to create new ones based on the many years of successful experience of such mutually beneficial partnerships. We propose to facilitate cooperation in a wide range of areas, including personnel training, the training of foreign military personnel and the improvement of their qualifications, and the holding of joint command staff and other exercises. And we expect that, as before, important agreements and export contracts will be signed on the margins of the forum. Dear friends, I'm confident that this forum will strengthen military and military technical partnerships for the benefit of security and stability in the emerging multipolar world.
Security. They're promising to what? Be a defense, be a guard, and to ward off all of these various different, wolves who are sucking the blood out of their territories.
I wish you successful work and all the best.
There we have it. That has been our candid speech for today. Please feel free to give your opinions in the...
And all we got to do is just type in, Russia. I mean, we've been doing various videos on it. All right. How strong is Russia's influence in Africa? Russia forgives $23 billion debt owed by African countries. You see that? Putin says Russia is prepared to train African military. So this is biblical prophecy. All right. We always go into it. We don't have to go too deep into it. But these are the times we're living in. Okay. Let's get the book of Isaiah, the 13th chapter. All right. Because Russia goes under many code names in the Bible. And only the elect have the ability to go in and fully break these things down through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Shai. Hopefully we're enduring well of that number. Isaiah 13:17. Behold, I will stir up the Medes. The word to stir up means to rouse up. And that's what Russia means, to rouse. Rouse. Okay. I will stir up the Medes against them. Now it says Medes. All right. Now the Medes were a Japhetic people. All right. And again, when you go into, all you have to do is look up a USSR map, all right, of where Russia ruled. Just look up an ancient USSR map. I've done it before on video, but you got to do these things on your own. And also look up the territory of the ancient Medes Empire, and you'll see that, all right, it borders the same territory. The USSR, where they had, influence and where they ruled, all right, the ancient Medes, all right, also in that territory rule. So here in this prophecy, this is speaking of Russia, but it has them called the Medes. It does this a few times in prophecy. And the way that we know this ain't talking about the ancient Neo-Babylonian Empire, all right, is that in verse 19, it says, in Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency shall be as when the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah, and it shall never be inhabited, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. Now, the ancient Babylon was in the area of Iraq. That's still populated. This has not happened yet. This is a future prophecy. So again, behold, I will stir up the Medes against them which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. And ironically, Russia is trying to get around the U.S. dollar, all right, in the form of the BRICS, which we know is the bankers behind all of this, all right, but these things are playing out right before our eyes, okay? The Russia, China, Brazil, and many other countries, all right, are forming the BRICS, which is a monetary system, all right, that will allow them to operate outside of the dollar, which has dominance. Okay? It says, so they're not going to delight in the silver and gold, the monetary system of the West, Babylon the Great. Their bows shall dash the young man into pieces, and they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb. Their eyes shall not spare children. And when you look at the Russian military and how they train, they're very cold. Okay? If you see here. They're in the snow. You know, they're in the snow. Their training methods, all right, just look it up, are very, very harsh. They're cold-blooded. Okay? I don't want to hear that shit. Look at these motherfuckers. So, I mean, you can look up more how Russia created the elite soldiers. All right. But when you compare it to the West, see if we can find something here. You tie it to the West. All right. It's a joke. The West is, telling their military, to accept, alphabet people and this and that, and they're twerking on Twitter and, the TikTok. But these Russian soldiers are absolutely ready. The Lord got a cold spirit on them. Okay? You could look more of that up. We don't have to go too deep into that, but let's go back here. All right. The Medes have been stirred up, and ultimately is going to lead to Babylon the Great being destroyed. Let's get one more on that topic, Jeremiah, the 50th chapter. All right. Jeremiah 50:2. Declare ye among the nations. All right, and that's what we're doing. Publish and set up a standard. Publish and conceal not. See? And when you read this chapter, it's not speaking of ancient Babylon that Jeremiah is being told to prophesy against. Again, these were letters written to the captives at Babylon, but when you read it, all right, it's speaking to Babylon the Great. Say, Babylon is taken, Baal is confounded, Marduk is broken in pieces. All of these different philosophies and the way that this world is being ran all goes back to Baal, Satan, Marduk, which was a Babylonian deity. Okay? The father of many gods. And that god, Marduk, was actually, all right, dual gendered. All right? It's broken in pieces. Her idols are confounded. Her images are broken in pieces. All right? And we're casting down imaginations and strongholds through this word. For out of the north, this is speaking of Russia, there cometh up a nation against her, which shall make her land desolate, and none shall dwell therein. They shall remove, they shall depart, both man and beast. See? That's what's going to happen. In those days and at that time, saith the Lord, The children of Israel shall come, they and the children of Judah together. All right, the reunion of Judah and Ephraim, northern and southern kingdom, all right, or southern and northern kingdom, are going to join back together, all right, which is happening right before your eyes, going and weeping, and they shall go and seek the Lord their God. Okay, so all of these things are happening synonymously. Okay, Russia being roused up, all right, and doing what it's doing, all right, is a big part of biblical prophecy, because at that same time, the Israelites will be waking up, prophesying, preaching, doing what the scripture said they would be doing, all right, which ultimately is going to lead to the end of this place. Okay, and many countries, all right, are in that spirit to be hostile against the West, against Israel, against the beast system. Even particular members of the beast system, the EU and NATO, are hostile towards the West. They're tired. Nuclear war is inevitable. North Korea, the U.S. should abandon its hostile policy if it's truly interested in dialogue, all right? Pyongyang believes the world is just a step away from nuclear conflict. North Korea Defense Minister General Kang Sun-nam, all right, in a statement made public on Tuesday, presented at the Moscow, which is Russia, International Security Conference. Why is North Korea in Moscow? The official blamed Washington's desire for regime change and Pyongyang's, all right. Again, why is Washington, why is America military in North Korea trying to set up and control who gets in office, who rules? The nations are tired of you. Okay, and the prophecy goes into what you would do. You would scoff at kings. You would deride strongholds. He also accused the U.S. of increasing its military presence in the region by deploying nuclear-capable aircraft and submarine to the area. Now, the question is not if a nuclear war breaks out on the Korean Peninsula, but who starts it when, all right? He warned. In this year alone, the U.S. sent massive strategic arms to the region, including nuclear-capable submarines, an aircraft carrier group, a nuclear-capable bomber, he added. The U.S. Navy's Carrier Strike Group 11, led by its flagship, all right, arrived at the South Korean military port in late March. All right, soon after, all right, Pyongyang unveiled its new, smaller nuclear warheads, which can possibly be mounted on the short-range ballistic missiles. All right. So again, this goes into what? Prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. See? Then it goes into drills. The U.S., which has been waging a hostile state policy against North Korea for 80 years. See? These countries are fed up with America. Blatantly interferes with the independent development and security interests of the North and pushes the situation in northeastern Asia to the brink of nuclear war. And Russia's going to be involved in that. Washington has had to admit its belligerent and policy towards Pyongyang and abandon its confrontational approach. All right. It says Washington has to admit its belligerent and policy towards Pyongyang, all right, and abandon its confrontational approach if it truly wants to resolve the crisis in a peaceful way, he added. Until America does that, all right, any dialogue is impossible, he maintained, which means military force remains the only way to secure peace and stability, all right, in the Korean Peninsula. So here we go. All right. More war to watch out for. All right. And he cannot be satisfied. He is as death. All right. He tries to gather unto himself all people and heap unto himself all nations. He wants everything under his control. All right. He's everywhere. All right. He has his nose. All right. He's going around lying, pushing democracy, and that's what the scripture said in Revelation 20. Gog and Magog would eventually step into the picture to help put an end to this devil. All right. Now, in other news, I wanted to talk about this real quick. I have this article here, which I doubt that they're really going to fight. All right. But what I believe is that behind closed doors, major enchantments are going up. And I believe that this dude here, Zuckerberg, is some form of, mind controlled demon. There's something is not right with any of these Edomites, but this guy in specific, I don't know. But Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk cage fight update. Speculation grows that tech tycoons could sling it out in Rome's ancient Colosseum. All right, which this is reminiscent, all right, of the clash of the Titans, and ultimately which represented gods in the ancient Roman Empire, which these are two of today's modern day tech gods. Speaking about clashing, which it could be something going on behind closed doors. I doubt that it happens, but the fact that they mention the ancient Roman Colosseum where these two tech idols and gods are going to clash is reminiscent of the ancient Roman Empire. All right. And there's nothing new under the sun. Okay. Now, this guy, Elon Musk, changed the platform of Twitter to simply X. All right. And X, all right, on the dark side, on the left hand side, represents life. All right. It represents Tammuz, who, his name means the sprout of life, which that's your Jesus Christ of the day. All right. This Roman Catholic religion that runs this world. All right. Openly and secretly, is based upon an ancient Babylonian religion that stems from, all right, Nimrod, Semiramis, the Queen of Heaven, and Tammuz. All right. And, I have a little research on it, but here it says X. What does X symbolize spiritually? It says, but that idea of a plane has a magical import as well. The X marks the netherworld where spirits can come, pass through, and exit the world that we know, and perhaps draw us into another. And that's what they're doing with these tech platforms. All right. Also, the symbol of the cross, or X, is linked to Tammuz. Okay. And we know in Revelation, the 13th chapter, let's get that real quick. Revelation, the 13th chapter. When we deal with the charagma and the system that they're bringing and everything that we see, you have the Chi-Psi stigma, which, really it's all centered around Xing out the Son of the Most High. All right, as you see, Chi-Psi stigma, and we always go into it if you haven't saw the breakdown. Pretty much Chi, this X represents the first three letters in Christ, or Christos, which means anointed, but they have their own anointed, which they're going to X out the true anointed through this system that they're implementing, establish, the Zai, which this Quigley character, all right, even in Elon Musk's Tesla, you see the three lines for the E. All right, that goes back to the lowercase form of, okay, let's see if we can look it up here. And we always go into these things, but for the sake of, boom, as you can see here, right there where I have the cursor, you see that E. All right. And you can look here. Let me see here. Boom. See also those three lines. There was one article where it went into how there's plenty of companies in this world that have these three lines, which really goes back to the Greek Xi in their logo. Okay, but for some reason it's not coming up. I had it before, but maybe we'll do this one. Here we go. Click this one. Let's just do a word search. Boom. Other uses, the uppercase. All right, because what we showed you here in the this is the lowercase. All right, but the uppercase. All right, there's many, Razer, Tesla, they have this in their logo. Okay, which, as you can clearly see, the goat symbol. All right, and we know stigma. So the chi, psi, stigma, we know represents, all right, putting a brand on you or a tattoo or a mark on you that ultimately would symbolize your oath to a particular god. And the modern day form of this is the charagma, the MOTB. Okay? So ultimately, these devils, even if you look at the symbolisms that they're using, and if you look at, how they're operating, all right, because why did he change the name of Twitter to X? Let's go to let's go Google it. They usually have better answers. Why did Elon Musk change Twitter to X? Musk said the idea of changing the logo to X was to embody the imperfections in us all that make us unique. All right, and that's what they're telling you. All right, but X has, even in ancient Egypt, you noticed they had the men doing the X logo. Even in the movie Black Panther. Okay. Let's see here. You remember that they had that X symbol. That goes back to arms. The arm cross symbol goes back to pagan deities. See? And why our people think that this is cute and think it's boom, you see that X? That symbolizes something on the left-hand side. That goes back to ancient gods and deities, Baal worship. See? And, our people don't know. Both Egyptian and ASL origins have extra meanings when you consider the mythology of Black Panther in the Marvel Universe. While all citizens of Wakanda salute freely, the arm crossed in Egyptian burials usually denoted male royalty in the new kingdom of ancient Egypt. And we know that they're establishing their new world order. So the idol worship and wickedness goes deep. Let's get the book of Isaiah, the 47th chapter, in the 10th verse. It says, "For thou hast trusted in thy wickedness, thou hast said, none seeth me. Thy wisdom and thy knowledge, it hath perverted thee. Thou hast said in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me." Okay? And this is how this devil is operating. He's saying, I am. Remember, the Lord, had his angels, his word say, I am that I am. Well, Esau is taking it there. You see? and there is none else beside me, meaning he's God. Therefore shall evil come upon thee, all right, and thou shalt not know whence it riseth, just when he thinks he's in control. And mischief shall fall on thee, and thou shalt not be able to put it off, and desolation shall come upon thee suddenly, which thou shalt not know. Stand now with thine enchantments, and with the multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. If so be, all right, thou shalt be able to profit. If so, thou mayest be able to prevail. Thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels. Let now the astrologers and the stargazers and the monthly prognosticators stand up and save thee from all these things that shall come upon thee. And that's what they're doing. They're calling to all of these idols and all of these various different ancient deities, these enchantments. They're putting them up on people, all right, in hopes that they're somehow going to get the victory. They're using CERN to try to manipulate the time and the elements and change times and laws and putting all sorts of, mysterious devices in the food and chemicals. They're going crazy. This is Isaiah 19:11. Surely the princes of Zoan are fools. This is where Pharaoh and his ancient, priests used to meet. Okay. And this is the modern day Pharaoh today, using this technology and meeting and having these meetings at the World Economic Forum and so forth. Surely the princes of Zoan are fools. The counsel of the wise counselors of Pharaoh has become brutish. All right. As the scriptures say, Isaiah 44:25. And Isaiah 44:25, that frustrated the token of liars and make it diviners mad and turn it the wise men backwards and making their knowledge foolish. See, all of these riches that they have and everything that they've built for themselves has got them on a high horse, proud, and calling on these different gods and idols and Satan and being wicked, has got them to the top. See? How say ye unto Pharaoh, I am the son of the wise, the son of ancient kings? They're using that same wisdom. Where are they now? Where are thy wise men? Let them tell thee now, and let them know what the Lord of hosts has proposed upon Egypt. The princes of Zoan are become fools. The princes of Noph are deceived. That's ancient Memphis. They also have seduced Egypt, even they that are the stay of the tribes. And where's the stay of the tribes? The tribes are primarily over here in the Americas, the modern day Egypt. All right. In Memphis, you have a modern day Memphis. And ironically, they have, which is situated by the Mississippi River, which is the modern day Nile River. They have a big pyramid over there. So America is nothing more than a hub of witchcraft. A Babylonian church, because where did ancient Egypt get their gods and goddesses from? It all came from Babylon. So the Lord have mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have caused Egypt to err, and every work thereof as a drunken man staggereth in his vomit. Neither shall there be any work for Egypt, which the head or tail, branch or rush may do. And ultimately, Judah is rising up at that same time and becoming a terror unto Egypt. Starting with, the men of the Lord, all right, but Jake is rousing up on the left hand as well. And that's the last thing that this country wanted to see, was the children of Israel come back, first and foremost to their power, but to start to look at them some type of way. But anyway, there's a lot of witchcraft going on. There's a lot of enchantments going on the left-hand side. And that's what I believe this is all about. I believe behind closed doors, they're doing something. All right. There's just nothing but the modern day clash of the titans, clash of the gods. And these are the two tech gods. And how ironic that they're talking about them fighting in the ancient Colosseum, which I don't think is going to happen. I believe it's something behind closed doors that they're doing. And this is how they're presenting it to the, the public. Okay. But Yeah, definitely. Tammuz is linked to that X. You know, you can look up, all of this different history on it. See the cross, the X. It's all the same thing. Okay? And in the Hebrew, we have a character that looks like this, in which you had a brother who had on a plus looking, you know, emblem on his chain, and Jake, don't know the Hebrew, talking about he's wearing a cross. Well, they have their left hand purposes for these symbols, but we have our right hand purposes for these symbols. Anyway, a few other things. All right. Brain body linking microchip. All right. Linking man with machine. Brain to body linking microchip helps paralyzed man regain movement in arm. Researchers with Northwell Health helped reestablish feeling and movement in the arm and hand of a man with paralysis. In a groundbreaking study, they implemented microchips into the man's brain and harnessed artificial intelligence AI to rebuild connections between his brain, spinal cord, and body. The man has also experienced lasting gains in his wrists and arms outside of the laboratory. The researchers expect their thought-driven therapy technology to help people with paralysis live fuller and more independent lives. All right, and as we always show you, okay, the way that this MOTB is going to be issued forth, okay, is he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand and their forehead. Most people are going to get it in the hand. The forehead aspect will be for healing, but when you look up this word receive, didomi, all right, to give something to someone, all right, of one own's accord, to his advantage. They're going to present it as if it's an advantage for your benefit, something necessary to have. With the digital world they're bringing, is going to be necessary. With all of the sicknesses that people have, it's going to be necessary to upgrade yourself. Okay? It's going to be administered. Okay? It's going to be given to you as an advantage. It's going to be presented as peace and safety, as comfort, And this is ultimately how you are going to follow the new leader, through that oath, because that's what it will be, ultimately. So, and again, you hear about Neuralink with Elon Musk, but it's millions of other companies pushing towards this technology worldwide. So maybe you Israelite camps will wake up to the reality of what the MOTB is, all right? Robot preachers unwelcome by faith community, according to a new study. So imagine walking into your local place of worship, finding your seat and setting, getting ready to hear a sermon, but instead of your familiar priest, minister, or rabbi, a robot steps up to deliver today's message. It might sound like science fiction, but it's coming or becoming a possibility in some parts of the world. Can you imagine? Can a machine really lead a religious service where people accept a robot as a spiritual guide? They're already doing it, as they're bowing to the image. Okay? A new study decided to find out the results that might surprise them. People have pretty much left the Most High and His Son, all right, for technology. Google, they make themselves gods. They worship themselves. They're worshiping the beast. But I thought this was funny. Goddamn AI robot. Okay. Next phase of government: thought crime, tyranny, mental health roundups, involuntary detention. Remember during the C-19 demic, when government officials and media talking heads tried to frame skepticism the about mental illness. If the notion of disobeying the government's lies means that one's brain does not work correctly, then there could and likely will come a time when these resistors are rounded up and involuntarily detained for being a threat to society. And we've been telling you that. They're going to deem people who have particular thought processes and who think a particular way and who don't agree with things as mentally unstable. Take the current situation in New York. The officials have unleashed a new program that they claim is designed to get homeless people off the streets. But reading between the lines, it reveals a much more sinister plot to override the First and Fourth Amendments at will under the guise of protecting society. And that's, again, draconian measures, harsh rules. If in the Big Apple, a person can now be forcibly hospitalized for suspected mental illness if he or she carries firmly held beliefs, all right, not congruent with cultural ideas. Okay? Again, they're making people to bow to the image. All right. There was an article where Christians are going to have to accept alphabet openly. And if you don't, you can be subject to having your situation shut down. Okay. And that's just one aspect of what they're doing. Willingness to engage in a meaningful discussion, has excessive fears, specific stimuli, or refuses, all right, voluntary treatment recommendations. When you combine all these criteria with the latest mass surveillance technologies, including AI, biometrics, and tracking programs, it becomes clear that the scope of this mental illness sweep is far greater than just drug-related, all right, vagrants. While these programs are obstinately aimed at getting the homeless off the streets, and they have the ability to present something as peace and safety, just like the charagma. Anything that they present, it comes out, like the juice, but look at the result. Okay? It says, while these programs are ostensibly aimed at getting the homeless off the streets, when combined with advances in mass surveillance technologies, artificial intelligence-powered programs that can track people by their biometrics and behavior, mental health sensor data, tracked by wearable data and monitored by government agencies, all right, threat assessments, behavioral sensing warnings, pre-crime, all right, initiatives, red flag gun laws, and mental health first aid programs aimed at training gatekeepers to identify who might pose a threat to public safety, they could well signal a tipping point in the government's efforts to penalize those engaging in so-called thought crimes, all right, said this particular person. So, ultimately they're going to make a man an offender for a word. We just track these particular things, okay? Already federal officials are working on how to add identifiable patient data, including mental health, substance use, and behavioral information from group homes, shelters, prisons, rehabilitation facilities, and schools to use their surveillance appurtenance. All of this points to the construction of an American gulag of sorts that the Whitehead says is no less sinister, all right, than that of the gulags of the Cold War era Soviet Union. Consider the irony of American officials dubbing Russia, also as known as the former Soviet Union, of being a threat when they themselves are constructing a massive concentration camp society in the United States, where those who refuse to obey the leaders are condemned to involuntary servitude and slavery to the state. See? Throughout history, it was a common tactic for a totalitarian regime to declare their enemies mentally ill in order to justify persecuting them. Now we are seeing the same tried and true playbook get executed once again right here in the land of the free. Okay? So watch in the coming days as the mental derangement narrative gets slapped as a label on all resistors who oppose the government's agenda. It started with the 1-6 insurrections and will soon include anyone who is anti-government, anti-this, and anti-that. You see those things, which those are words you can't even say now. Where are we? We're at the end. That's where we are. Okay? So, yeah, they're getting ready to go in. I forget to look at this site. Tyranny News, they usually go in on the legislation, but it can all be fulfilled in making a man an offender for a word. Let's get that real quick. That's exactly what they're doing. Because Esau's through. Okay? The AI preachers. Goodness gracious. You Edomites are through, man. Isaiah 29:20, for the terrible one is brought to naught, and the scorner is consumed. All they that watch for iniquity are cut off, that make a man an offender for a word, and lay a snare for him that reproveth in the gate, and turn aside the just for a thing of naught. And remember, in Daniel, the 3rd chapter, it was a similar situation where ultimately Nebuchadnezzar of the Neo-Babylonian Empire tried to make everybody bow and worship this image. And he basically said, whoso falleth not down, all right, in verse 6, and whoso falleth not down and worshipeth shall in the same hour be cast into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. Okay? Therefore, at that time, when all the people heard the sound of the cornet, the flute, the psaltery, and all the kinds of music, all the people and the nations and the languages fell down and worshiped the golden image which Nebuchadnezzar the king has set up. Now you're being forced to worship his image, the image of the beast. All right, which, the Assyrian Babylonian Empire was one of the beasts of Daniel's vision in Daniel the 7th chapter, but we're living in that final beast. And his image, all right, is being forced upon the whole entire planet Earth. Okay? But when Jake refused, certain of the Jews, Daniel 3:8, wherefore at that time certain Chaldeans came near and accused the Jews. Okay? It said in verse 12, there are certain Jews whom thou hast set over the affairs of the province at Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, which was their slave names. These men, O king, have not regarded thee to serve not they serve not thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. And this is the situation we're getting ready to find ourselves in. Okay? As we're bringing out all of this information and speaking against this devil. So they're going to, they're going to persecute those who are of upright conversation. All right. And the Lord has already said he's raised up 7,000 men who have not bowed the knee to the image of Baal. Okay? And Lord willing, we're of that number. Psalms 37:14, the wicked have drawn out the sword and have bent their bow to cast down the poor and needy and to slay as such as be of upright conversation. So again, unrighteous decrees and propagandas are coming down the pipe, and we just bring these things out. Lord willing, I'll go into this one in the new, news and prophecy. But ultimately, this is what they're trying to make the earth into for us, for the common people, which people like us, they plan on destroying. But this is the future of the world. They'll have these particular cities where you'll be locked inside, okay, while they freely rule and roam the earth. Smart cities create the internet of bodies. So you're going to have a charagma inserted in you to where ultimately these smart cities you'll be tracked and traced, and if you go outside of a particular area, you'll be, obliterate your ass. Imagine living like that. No privacy. All your data is on the grid, and you'll be edited. You know how you'll be edited. All right, but we'll get into this in a whole nother, lesson. I think I had another article, the U.S. military suicide crisis. You got all of these U.S. soldiers committing suicide. Entire police department of Minnesota resigns, of a city in Minnesota. And that's going to be a common theme. So hopefully I'll edify it. On to the next. Shalom.